Let's get into price controls. Price controls are where the laws are set in place by the governments in order to regulate prices. Basically, they believe a price is too low, so they're trying to raise it, or they believe a price is too high, so they're trying to lower it. So there are a lot of controversy around price controls, especially for necessity goods or protecting businesses. Some examples are rent control or minimum wage. A lot of controversy around those. So we're going to split them off into two examples: price ceilings and price floors. A price ceiling is the most you can go in terms of a price. This is the price ceiling. You cannot go above the ceiling. It is a legal maximum price that one can pay for a good or service. The other one is a price floor. The price keeps it falling below a certain level. It is the lowest price that you can legally pay, and you cannot go below. You cannot go below the floor. All right. So let me show you what this looks like. A price ceiling is really there to keep the price of necessary goods and services affordable. Example would be rent control. So a government steps in and they say, hey, we need a place for people to live. It needs to be affordable. So we're going to put a maximum price on an apartment so that people can afford it. Another example would be water bottle prices before a hurricane hits in Florida. As you may think back to supply and demand, because there's a hurricane that's about to hit, the demand for water might increase, and so more demand, higher prices. So a government might step in and say, actually, we're going to regulate prices to not raise them because it's a necessary good, right? So let's look at this example of rent control and how that affects the market. So we're going to first start off in equilibrium in the apartment market. And then the shock that's going to happen is more people move into New York to start their new careers. So let's look at that market. We have a demand for apartments and a supply. And let's say the current market's at 1,700. Now the government likes this, so what they're going to say is rent control is set at 1,700. Now again, this means that you cannot go above 1,700. The rent control is your price ceiling. It's the most you can go, right? Now, if more people move in, so population increase, we would see an increase in demand. So we're going to shift the demand to the right. And as we discussed before, you can see here, the prices will be higher and the quantity will be higher as well. Let's say beforehand there was 150 apartments, but now there are 200. So this is your new equilibrium here. However, can you get to the equilibrium? The answer is no. Right here is your price ceiling. You cannot go above 1,700. So what happens here is from the business side, because they're only getting 1,700, this is your quantity supplied. Businesses are only going to want to sell 150 apartments because they're getting the same price as before. Now, you do have more people moving in, so at this price, you have this many people that want an apartment. So this is your new quantity demanded. You have 250 people wanting an apartment, you only have 150 available, so you have a shortage. Right? In fact, you have a shortage of 100 here. So this is what happens with a binding price ceiling. A binding price ceiling says that you do not go to equilibrium. The equilibrium is at 1,900, but you are lowering it down to 1,700. So that is putting the market in a bind. You are causing a shortage. If you're not at equilibrium, you are putting the market in a bind. Let's say the market price for an apartment was 1,500 and the rent control was set at 1,700. Can the market charge 1,500? Yes. Okay. The market says I want to pay 1,500 for the apartment. The rent control says you cannot go above 17. So we're good. If we're looking this on a graph here, what this would look like, here's 1,500 here, and then here's 1,700. Now, because we are below the ceiling, like if we were actually standing there below the ceiling, you can see the equilibrium. If you can see the equilibrium, you're going to go there. So therefore, this is a non-binding price ceiling. Alrighty, that's what we're looking at here. This one right here is a binding price ceiling because the market's at 1900, but the government says it has to be at 17. So you are lowering the price. So if you are below equilibrium, it's a binding price ceiling. If your price ceiling is above your equilibrium, it's a non-binding price ceiling. Okay, this has no effect on the market. Right? Now, this does change whenever we talk about price floors, but we'll get into that in a second. The thing about binding price ceilings is that they are inefficient. They only benefit the first ones to move into the apartment, and they leaves the rest of the people that are there trying to find somewhere else to live. And also, businesses do not have the incentive to make a higher quality apartment because they're getting the same price as before. So there's no reason to fix things or renovate in order to gain more profit. So therefore, we will see the quality of these apartments decrease, right? So that's the problem with price ceilings, right? Price floors, on the other hand, right? An example would be minimum wage, all right? So usually these are there to protect employees so they don't get charged too low of a wage, but we've also used them in the farming industry as well. So floors were also used to protect farmers against income fluctuations. It's another way that the government helps to basically give them more profitable opportunities to make sure we still have goods. So what the government will do sometimes is they will buy the farmer's product to keep the price high by adding to the demand. We'll get into that in a second. So here's what a price floor looks like. Here is the equilibrium, right? And the government says that is too low. So we're going to set a price floor way up here. Okay. So you're no longer buying at $5. You now have to buy at $7. So what happens here is the quantity demanded is now lower because the higher price. But because the price is higher, we have more people that want to sell. So you're creating an excess supply or a surplus. Right? So this is a good thing for the businesses in the sense that they're getting a higher price, but again, they're not selling as much. Okay, so this does lead to excess supply of goods. It also creates this opportunity where businesses want to make a better product because they get the higher price, but they can't sell as much as they want because, again, nobody wants to buy it. So that's an issue with the price floors. With the farmers, what would happen is we would have this extra food that nobody buys because it's too expensive. So what does the government do? The government will sometimes just buy the excess supply, the surplus, and then they can do whatever they want with it. Maybe they sell it, or maybe they even destroy it. That's also happened too. All right. Sometimes high-income areas, such as U.S., Europe, and Japan, they spend about $1 billion a day to support farmers by buying excess supply. Okay. This does benefit the farmers, but it does incur cost to the taxpayer. So on a price floor, again, the only reason that this is binding is because it's above the equilibrium. All right, if we were standing on the price floor, we can't get to the equilibrium. We can't go down here. All right, so this is a binding price floor. If we were to put a price floor down here, then yes, right, we can get to the equilibrium. So in essence, what we're looking at here a binding price ceiling is above equilibrium. a binding price ceiling is below equilibrium, and a binding price floor is above equilibrium. Let me show you what I'm saying here. If this was your market and the government put a price control here, if this was binding, then this would be a binding price floor because it's below, this is a binding price ceiling because it is below equilibrium. And then if we put it up here above equilibrium, so basically we're trying to raise the floor, right, then this would be a binding price floor. Okay. Going back to the minimum wage topic here, right, how this one works is we do have a market, and what's interesting about the minimum wage for this one, if you were to look at the market wage for a low skill position, you're probably looking somewhere in the $10 range. Anywhere you go, you can probably get $10 for your wage. And if the minimum wage is at $7.25, does this minimum wage do anything? No. So at $7.25, this is a non-binding price floor. It has no effect on the market because the market's charging 10, so it's above the minimum, so we're good. All right. And again, the price ceiling, the price floor here is below equilibrium, so it's non-binding. It is not effective. All right. What we're going to talk about now is efficiency and how price controls actually lead to inefficiencies in the market.